Welcome back to Insider Net. The long await for Arcane Season 2 has finally come to an end. The first arc of 3 episodes was released this past Sunday. The acclaimed League of Legends animated series came back after 3 years in the making, with more captivating visuals and an expansion to this tragic story. Today, we are checking out the Easter eggs and references that you may have missed. From little things that explain some of the lore of the character to references about other champions and in-game objects. Let's jump in, so spoiler warning if you haven't seen the new chapters. Starting where the third act of Season 1 left us, we see the aftermath of the explosion caused by Jinx. 3 counselors died, including Caitlyn's mother, and 2 other counselors were injured but survived. On the other side, we have Mel and Jace, who appeared to be completely safe, even though it was heavily implied that the missile was about to hit Mel directly. This, even though it's not a complete confirmation, reaffirms the theory that Mel is a Solari, or at least has Solari ascendance. How, you asking? Because we can see that her golden jewelry is actually a golden armor that protected her and Jace from the impact, something that resembles the Solari magic armor and shields, like the Locket of the Iron Solari, which is an in-game purchasable item that gives the player shield, armor and magic resistance. How she is related to the Solaris is unknown. We speculate that it is for her father's side, even though we don't know who he is. The only thing we know for sure is that her mother, Mbessa, is Noxian. The big question for those who haven't played League of Legends, or don't actually read the lore, is, who are the Solaris? They are a religious civilization that lives on Mount Targon and venerates the aspect of the sun. What are the aspects? They are stellar beings that live beyond the physical and spiritual realms of Runeterra. But that's too much lore for today. The champions related to the Solari are Leona and Pantheon. Now drifting back to Arcane, Victor was severely injured in the attack to the counselors, so Jace takes him to their lab, and following Victor's findings with the Hex Core in Season 1, and puts him in this sort of cocoon to heal him. Nearly at the end of the arc, Victor wakes up, and we can see his new body, starting to resemble his in-game character, whose body is completely metal armor and seeks for what he calls as glorious evolution. Basically, he wants to turn people into machines. One theory that is taking strong force says that the Hex Core inside of him is manipulating him to do something related to the wild runes, but we don't know exactly what yet. Moving back to the early part of the arc, in the attack to the memorial, we can see 2 in-game items, one wielded by an ex-Silco ally who lost her son in the past season. This item is called Chempunk Chainsword and gives attack damage and health to the player. The other item is used by the Zonites that join the attack. It's called Turbo Chem Tank, gives a lot of health to the player and some speed too. This item it's not available in the Summoner's Rift, by the way, it's an arena item. In that sequence we see Mbessa and her soldiers fight the Zonites and kill all of them. By the look of their armor it's clear that they are Noxian. As we said before, we know for sure that Mbessa is Noxian by her character bio in-game. Thanks to this we also know that she is a respected warlord and head of the Medarda family. She has 2 kids, a son named Kino who was killed by an unknown person, and her daughter Mel, who we met in the series. When she was pregnant with Mel, she almost dies defending her homeland. As she laid along the bodies of Noxian soldiers, a lone wolf found her. In our perspective, this wolf represents Kindred, another in-game champion who is the essence of death. And if you play League you would be asking where is the other half of Kindred, and the answers is pretty easy. The different parts of Runeterra see death differently. The lamb part represents a peaceful death while the wolf is a violent death. The Noxians only see the wolf because they seek to die in combat and not accept death. Coming back to Mbessa and Kindred, it seems like she had some sort of visions of who she will become in the future. She fights against death and wins, embracing the merciless ways of the wolf. You can check out the music video of Blood, Sweat and Tears by League of Legends where all this happens. A little more context about Noxus is a powerful empire with a fearsome reputation. Noxus is brutal, expansionist, and threatening, yet they have an unusually inclusive society, where the strengths and talents of its people are respected and cultivated. Some champions of Noxus are Darius, Katarina, Draven and more. If you want us to talk more about the lore of these champions or regions of Runeterra, let us know in the comments. There's a lot to unpack about the League of Legends lore. Circling back to Mbessa and Noxus, we have to talk about LeBlanc. In the scene where Mbessa meets with a merchant called Amara, we can speculate that she's a clone, or that she works for LeBlanc. This is because the champion is often represented as a pale woman with purple lips, and the color scheme of the merchant resembles LeBlanc's. Now who's LeBlanc, you asking? Well, she's a sorcerer who leads the Black Rose Cabal, and runs Noxus from the shadows. She can mirror herself and appear everywhere and in multiple places at once. A theory claims that the man who Mbessa's son offended and eventually killed him is part of the Black Rose, or maybe it was LeBlanc in disguise, and that's why they are hunting her and her family as we see them take Mel, close to the end of the 3rd episode. Now let's get over the quick references to the game. In the meeting scene of Mbessa and Amara, we see that her guard has this item in his weapon. It's called Kanik Rukern, and gives the player magic resistance. That's why he was able to fight the Black Rose magic. Shifting to Heimerdinger, this is more of a curiosity than a reference, but we wanted to point it out anyway. He is a Yordle, spirits from the spiritual realm of Runeterra. They feed from happiness and love social interactions. That's why we see him enjoying more with Echo and the happy part of Zaun. Talking about Yordles, there's a lot of references to Teemo, a champion who is a Yordle with an unwavering sense of morality, but in this particular arc, the most clear reference comes with the little girl that Jinx saves. She's wearing the champion's helmet. And talking about this newfound family, in the new arm that Jinx gives to Sevica, we can see a quick reference to Jinx's in-game E, the Flame Chompers, a line of grenades that function like a trap. Following Jinx, she talks while in the fight with Vi about a goddess-like creature that helped breath the miners of Zaun with her wind magic, and we can see her figure sculpted in the walls. That's a reference to Janna, another league champion. She's an elemental wind spirit who protects the dispossessed of Zaun. Another quick reference could be spotted in the scene where Mbessa puts Caitlyn in charge of the attack on Zaun. We see this family with white hair, that could be people from the clan Pharaohs, Camille's clan. She's a champion whose body is almost completely made out of Hextech. Now it's time to get to Singed and his plans. When we first see him in this arc, he's trying to hunt or lure out some wolves. These are the Merc Wolves, an in-game neutral monster that the player can kill to get EXP. We then see him experimenting with this wolf, which gives the appearance of Warwick, a league champion that resembles a monster wolf and hunts in the alleys of Zaun and preys upon those criminals who terrorize the city's depths. By his lore, we know that he once was a good man, but now, in consequence of the experiments, he became a bloodthirsty beast. He lives in constant pain and wants to remember who he was but can't because of his mutations. He sometimes gets flashes of his past life that prevents him from hurting innocent people. We know by his in-game lines that he knew Vi and Jinx in his past life. He says to Jinx,
"You were there. Let me forget."
And to Vi he says,
"Zaun needed you. Who taught you how to punch?"
And he remembers the cries of a little girl, implied to be Jinx. All this reaffirms the theory that comes from Season 1, affirming that Vander is who Warwick was in his past life. And that's all for today. Let us know how many of these references you spotted and throw some that we haven't talked about in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you next week when Act 2 of Arcane drops. In the meanwhile, you can check out our other videos. Till next time.